I think the strange thing about all of this is the generational divide that's opened up. It is very remarkable if you look at polling in the United States, Britain, or on continental Europe, that older people strongly sympathize with Israel and younger people strongly sympathize with the Palestinians. And in fact, the youngest age group surveyed, the age group 18 to 24 in the US and in the UK, is strongly anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian. And that's why when you look at the protests that you see in support of the Palestinians, they're very youthful when you look closely. And I think there's a very good reason for this. And it's an extremely important point that some of us have been making for years, that the universities, and to an extent the schools too, have been systematically infiltrated by propagandists in favor of Islamism and anti-Zionism. And we are now reaping the harvest of allowing the infiltration of higher education by radical leftists and Islamists. That's the best explanation, I think, for this generational divide. It's not just that the passage of time has somehow dampened public sympathy for Israel. I think it's something much more sinister than that.
What does it say about, A, the intelligence to be the moral compass of the people over the last few decades who have run our academic institutions?
Well, I think what's happened has been a kind of unwitting leftward lurch. Liberals of the 1968 era, the anti-Vietnam types, thought when they saw the radicals of the next generation that they were seeing a reflection of themselves, to be young and radical again. And they appointed people who were far to the left of those anti-Vietnam liberals. And one obvious distinction is that the anti-Vietnam liberals were at least in favor of free speech. But the new generation of leftists aren't liberal at all. They're against free speech, nor are they secular. They're highly susceptible to the Islamist arguments, which is remarkable when you consider some of the other things that they believe. They passionately believe in LGBTQ plus rights. They passionately believe that there are 55
but the people
genders.
they're supporting in those Middle Eastern countries don't.
Well, exactly. This is what's so bizarre about this coalition that's formed. It's a strange, unholy alliance between Islamists and radical leftists, completely obsessed with identity politics, so obsessed with identity politics that they don't recognize that the Palestinians are not just another minority like the transgender rights activists, but are really part of a global Islamist movement that is profoundly hostile to all the things that they care about, particularly when it comes to gender. So it's a very strange and I think unintended consequence of the penchant that liberal professors have to hire people further to the left of themselves. Well, the polling shows very clearly that Democrats are less supportive of Israel than they were 10, 20 years ago. And it's also clear that younger Democrats have really moved quite decisively away from support for Israel to downright hostility towards it and support for the Palestinian cause. So it's clear that that implies a shift in the orientation of the Democratic Party. It's well known that Joe Biden's not the only elder statesman in the Democratic Party. The House of Representatives and the Senate are full of elderly Democrats. This is a gerontocracy in some ways. As that generation reluctantly relinquishes the reins of power, it will be undoubtedly replaced by politicians who don't feel the same strong sense of identification that, say, Harry Truman felt. Israel needed the support of the United States to be born and to survive the turbulent early decades of its existence. And so we must have, I think, real cause for concern that sense of identification and support is ebbing. Because without it, I find it hard to see how Israel can be secure.